then I think we should be able to see that, because all of that information we discussed should be available. It should all be somewhere. Now, to Team Erika. This is the part that's fun. I'm going to go to a filing of hers. This is a filing Erika made. Now, again, Utah allows this weird situation where the actual wife or whoever it is, here, let me close it. The victim representative they have in Utah can actually file stuff. And this is an example of what she filed: a supplemental notice concerning access to evidence presented in open court. In other words, Erika has an opinion on what we, the people, should be able to see. And I happen to agree with her in this case. She's the widow and duly recognized victim representative, by and through the undersigned counsel. Notice supplements the notice, yada, yada. As before, Ms. Kirk asserts her right upon request to be present and heard on the matter affecting her interests, and so does so on behalf of the victim's family. The victim's family position is simple. Good. At a minimum, every exhibit entered into evidence during the preliminary hearing must be visible to every person lawfully present in the courtroom. To receive evidence in a manner shielded from those seated in the courtroom, as happened today, is not transparency. And in the absence of transparency, speculation and conspiracy theories will continue to proliferate in the public domain relative to the tragic assassination of Mr. Kirk, breeding doubt and trust into the judicial system. We don't want doubt and trust in the judicial system. This is not what anyone should want. We agree with you, Ms. Kirk. Dr. Kirk. We agree with you. We think every single exhibit entered into evidence must be visible. We could not agree more. It certainly would have prevented what happened on the final day, where everybody walks out and says, oh my gosh, they've been showing you this blurry Bigfoot footage, but you should have been there on the final day. It was HD, 4K. We saw it all. Okay, great. Can we have it? Erika thinks we should have it. I would like to see it. I'd like to double check Agent Poso. Is it really that good? There were other people in the courtroom like Brandy and Billy who said maybe it wasn't. I'd like to be my own determiner of fact. Absolutely every single piece of evidence needs to be made public. Absolutely every piece of evidence needs to be made public. So what is the relief Ms. Kirk is asking for? Well, let's find out. For the foregoing reasons, Erika Kirk, on behalf of the victim's family, respectfully requests that the court, at a minimum, order all exhibits admitted into evidence during the last 3 days that were not published to the courtroom be so published during the proceedings scheduled for July 9, so that all persons lawfully present in the courtroom may view them. Well, you know what one of those pieces of evidence was? Do you know what one of those pieces of evidence was? It was the medical examination. It was the autopsy report. All we got of the autopsy report was an officer stating that he heard from somebody that the manner of death was homicide and that the cause of death was a gunshot wound to the neck. We weren't able to see it, but we know it was Exhibit 11. We know it was offered by the state, and we now know what's in it. That autopsy report is going to have a number of things in there, including the manner and cause of death that they told us the conclusion, but it's also going to have a whole lot of other stuff, like the time the body arrived where? What time did the body arrive in Taylorsville? At the medical examiner's office? Well, we don't know. We're guessing around 8:30 or 8:45. What time did the autopsy start? Where did the body move about in the facility in the meantime? Did they take it to the morgue to cool it down? How long did that take? How long was it there? How long was it on ice? After it moved from being on ice, where did you go then? Did you go exactly right to the autopsy table? What time did that take place? When did the autopsy begin? The actual, opening of the body, the examination of the body, when did that take place? How did you determine the body was the proper temperature? Who was in the room? That's going to be in the autopsy report. We know only one name. It's an Sergeant Barrett of the State Bureau of Investigation. As we discussed last night, we can't find one. We can find one Sergeant Barrett in all of Utah. And that Sergeant Barrett is a highway patrolman. She does traffic stops. She does car wrecks. Who was in the room? Other than a single cop. You would think there would be an autopsy assistant, maybe. That's typical. Who was that? What was that person's name? You would think there would be maybe an x-ray tech of some sort. You want to do an x-ray, particularly if you think I think it's pretty standard to do an x-ray anyway on an autopsy, I think. But if you don't do an x-ray, how do you know if there are bullet fragments in the neck, for example? You should be able to know the answer to that question. Did you do one? That should be in the autopsy report. Erika Kirk has said that she has seen the autopsy report. She claims she saw it. So it's not like when her lawyer goes and files and says, we want everybody to see all the evidence that was submitted into evidence, that she doesn't know what's in that autopsy report. And she would go, whoa. I know we said all. I know we said every. But I forgot about the autopsy report. That's not how it works. There wasn't a lot of evidence. I think there were only like 16 or 17 pieces of evidence that they entered. A lot of those were videos. Well, if you know what the evidence is, and you've seen the evidence, and you direct your lawyer, I'm assuming you directed your lawyer, you direct your lawyer to go intervene in the midst of a preliminary hearing, which is, I think, highly unusual. And that lawyer says, we want it all out there in the public. Then I think we should be able to see that, because all of that information we discussed should be available. It should all be somewhere. We should have access to it. And I agree with the lawyer. The absence of the evidence is causing wild speculation about what's happening.